Hello, this is Don Mitchell. Welcome back to Disciple, the book that enables you to have more than 60 experiences of drawing closer to God and fulfilling more of the calling on your life that He has planned since before the world was created. We continue now in part two of the book, Live the Gospel. And this is the first of 15 lessons in that part. So we're now in week one of part two, days 1 and 2. And the title of this lesson is See Others as Jesus Does. So let me read several verses to you that I think will help set the stage for this lesson. First, from Matthew chapter 19, verse 14, in the New King James Version. But Jesus said, Let the little children come to me, and do not forbid them, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. Next, let's look at Luke chapter 12, verses 6 and 7, also in the King James Version. Are not 5 sparrows sold for 2 copper coins? And not one of them is forgotten before God. But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows. Next, let's look at Matthew chapter 12, verses 49 and 50, also in the New King James Version. And he stretched out his hand toward his disciples and said, Here are my mother and my brothers, for whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. Oh, how blessed we are to have these great words from Jesus. While many more verses could be added to describe other dimensions of how Jesus sees others, including us, I believe the verses I've just quoted adequately exemplify the fundamental point. Jesus has high regard for the potential in all people, saved and unsaved, and he treats us as family members when we follow God's will. Take a minute to let that point sink deeply into your heart, soul, spirit, and mind. By applying this lesson and the next 5, you will experience turning his high regard for your potential and desire to have a spiritual relationship with you into your feeling more love for one and all. You will study and apply verses while doing so that will help you build your appreciation for how Jesus sees others and shift your way of thinking closer to his. Regarding people from Jesus' perspective won't be at first feel natural or very easy in some cases. One reason for having such difficulty is due to our being keen observers of how others are different from one another, and especially with regard to any differences from us. However, making such observations isn't the end of the story. Any noticing of differences can potentially lead us in one of 3 directions: a positive, a neutral, or a negative one. If we focus on things about someone that make us appreciate him or her more, enable us to be in a closer relationship with her or him, and act in more loving ways, then the observations have led to a godly, positive result. If instead we take no action based on what we observe that could be used to build a loving relationship, then there has been neither a positive nor a negative consequence, except in the negative sense of having missed an opportunity to love and to do something good. When we use any differences we have done to make judgments about others that cause us to see them as inferior, we will have usually placed an obstacle in the way of our potentially loving them, except perhaps for feeling pity. Permit a big enough obstacle of this sort to develop in our hearts and minds, and we will have sinned by not loving others as ourselves. We should instead view any differences among people's unchanging characteristics as merely signs of God's good plan at work in our own lives, a plan that will provide more fruit for his kingdom and bless them and others as they do his will. A helpful thought after noticing such differences is to contemplate how such characteristics might advance his plans. For instance, someone who has such poor eyesight that it cannot be corrected by human hands might someday be healed by faith, providing then a powerful living testimony that God is active in the world. If such a healing did not occur, that same individual might instead gain the ability to focus more easily on spiritual realities than on what can be seen in the physical world. Although Jesus is clearly our superior in every way we can imagine, he humbled himself to endure a painful and humiliating death on the cross to save us. And he wants us to be in a relationship with him. The Apostle Paul captured the significance of acting with a heart full of such Jesus-like humility with this instruction, quote, "Let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem others better than himself." This is from Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 in the New King James Version. Keep that humble perspective in mind. So let's now look at some questions that can help us to live the gospel by seeing others as Jesus does. So transitioning from seeing others as you do now to perceive them as Jesus does can be a substantial and lengthy process. These questions can help you. First, what differences in others cause you to judge them as inferior? 2, how might Jesus view the same differences as actually being advantages for increasing and improving his kingdom? 3, are your judgments in such cases tied to feeling pride in some gift that God has given you? 4, if you feel any such pride, have you repented of doing so, praised and thanked God for his gift, and asked him to help you view the gift with proper humility? 5, what mental barriers and habits cause you to be ambitious or proud, rather than simply humble while with others? Have you asked God to remove those barriers and to help you change the habits? Who can you see now afresh, as Jesus does for the first time? Who else can you now see from a humble perspective? How can you act differently with that person as a result? How did it feel to do so? How can you continue in learning to see others as Jesus does? And so now let me give you your week 1 memory verse, which is is related to the ones I've already mentioned. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. And this is from Matthew chapter 12, verse 50 in the New King James Version. So contemplate and act on these things, and you'll find your life to be very blessed, as well as you'll become a blessing to more people. So I say goodbye for now. Take care.